Hi everyone, I did say that my last video would likely to be the last. Hang on a second. But I'm afraid, like a bad penny, I'm back again. Just thought I would talk a little bit about what's going on at this point in time. The National very kindly organised some physiotherapy for me in my own home, and I am receiving physiotherapy and having someone visit every other day and doing it on my own. It's quite interesting, really, because I have actually noticed that rather than getting better, and now none of this physio is in terms of aerobic exercise, it's all about muscle stretches and trying to strengthen muscles, but it hasn't actually made me any better. If anything, I've noticed problems I did not have before. Now, whether this is to do with the physio or something else is hard to determine, because it doesn't tend to happen immediately after I've done the physio, but I've started to get tightness in my hips and lower back pain, which I've had in the past and thought it was kidney problems, and have rushed to the doctor and he's done tests and they've been okay, so I'm not going down that route anymore. And last night I went to bed, and I haven't felt like this since the early stages of my illness. I felt as if I'd been poisoned. In fact, most of yesterday evening I had this feeling of real sort of nausea, and I have it a little today. So now, what does this mean? Does this mean that that this is almost a little bit more, a bit of confirmation that my problems are ME or not? I suppose the biggest problem I've had with all of this, I know that people have contacted me and said that they have ME and they have involuntary movements. I suppose my biggest problem has been that I saw Byron Hyde about maybe 2 years ago. He was in London. I had emailed him and just to tell him what my symptoms were before any doctor had mentioned ME, and he emailed back and said immediately that's not ME, they missed something, and he happened to be coming for the conference in the UK, and I saw him in a hotel, and in his hotel in the lobby, and he couldn't examine me, and he wouldn't make a diagnosis, so he couldn't. And when I asked him, did he think I had, we talked about my father and how he had polio, and he felt that was significant, as he knows that people with ME, he believes there's a genetic susceptibility to the virus that possibly causes ME, and so he thought that was significant. But when I asked him blankly whether he thought I had ME, having seen me, he wouldn't say, because without a SPECT scan he wouldn't say. So I was left really not sure as to whether I have it or not. And of course, when I saw the CFS doctor, who I know would have used the Oxford criteria that rules out any neurological problems when diagnosing CFS, would have ruled me out because I have obvious neurological problems. And the third neurologist that I saw, who was before this ME-CFS doctor, I reread his letter, and he for a start never calls it chronic fatigue syndrome, he calls it ME. He says in his letter that my symptoms he felt were consistent with a diagnosis of ME. He also says in it, interestingly, and I can't understand why the National never read it, having seen the neuropsychiatrist locally, his opinion was that my symptoms could not be fully explained by somatization or conversion disorder. So it might well be that he was a neurologist in the know and didn't actually accept that ME is a psychosocial disease like the National does. You see, the National, if I had been given a diagnosis of ME, they believe ME and conversion disorder are one and the same thing. So it would have made not the slightest difference to them as to how they treated me. So I'm continuing with this physio program. I might not be very sensible doing it, I don't know, because I'm not sure whether the long-term effects are going to be a worsening in my condition. But I feel just so frustrated because there's nothing, and I know that there are others out there who feel absolutely the same. And it's, you have someone that's actually trying to help you, and you almost grasp it, because that's the other option is just to be left and try to get on with things on your own the best you can. I've been still going through all the things, still trying to find out whether it's ME, whether it's something else. I've researched, although I said I wouldn't, and I keep trying to stop myself from doing it, and looked at different conditions. The latest has been looking at primary lateral sclerosis, and something else I can't think was, which is about spasming in my legs, which I do get, but I don't know, perhaps the whole ME thing is right. I might get one or two emails from some of you, because I've had them before when I've doubted this, who have ME with many neurological problems. So anyhow, I've rambled on for long enough. I am a bit brighter than when you saw me last time, but the frustration of this thing is great. The not being certain is probably the worst thing about it all, and the fact that rather than being labelled with ME, instead being given a conversion disorder label is not exactly good. I know that because of the way that it affects others that I have to deal with, so I don't know, I'm just confused by the whole thing. So that's the end of this video. I probably will turn up again once in a while. Thanks for watching.